Hey everybody! In today's tutorial, I'm going to show you kind of a simplified version of paper toll with this adorable new image. This is a sneak peek from the upcoming Stampin' Up! Catalog. The stamp set is called Sitting Here, and I'm going to be honest, I didn't like the kind of sketchy lines in this set, but I found a couple of really fun things that I could do with it, like working with these pillows and making it a little bit more graphic that I just love, and now I really feel like it's something I'm going to use a lot. So I've stamped these 3 pillows from this set in Memento on my marker paper. I used Crafter's Companion marker paper. And I'm just coloring these with Copic markers. This takes a little bit of a steady hand because the designs on these pillows are pretty small, and you either need to just use the very tip of your marker, or as I'm doing here, I'm using a touch twin with the fine tip point for the orange part of the design. You know, my favorite is orange and aqua. So I'm doing this sort of crosshatch in just a pure orange. And it's a little bit easier with this bullet tip. But if you're careful, you can do it with the tip of a just fine brush tip of any marker that you have. I'm adding a little bit of gray to the edges just to accentuate the dimension that I'm going to get in the end with the paper tool. And on the second pillow, I'm doing sort of a rainbow technique, which when I went to go put this card on my blog and on Pinterest, I saw Francine Villaume, who I adore. She's one of our Dirty Dozen members, who had actually also done a rainbow striped pillow on a piece of furniture. So I guess that idea was out there in the universe. If you haven't seen her work, by the way, you should. She's amazing. But I think we both have been inspired the same way this month. So I saw Glenda Travelstead do some paper toll work on stage. And as soon as I saw this set and the pillows, I knew that I wanted to give them that dimension and the little bit of pop like she had done. And this is a technique actually that Lisa Lara does quite a bit, and she does it really beautifully. And I've always loved it. I don't always have the patience for it. So having these small images is really nice. Now I have just one of those ball styluses. Styli? I guess styli. And what you want to do is put down your piercing mat. This is a thick foam piercing mat from Stampin' Up. And you want to act like you're dry embossing and use the contours of the shape to dictate how you move your stylus. So since this one's a circle, I'm doing it in a circular motion, just in the center. Leaving the edges unembossed is what gives it the dimension. On the rectangular and square ones, I'm moving in straight lines and in a square. And that makes them puff up and really look like 3-dimensional objects. I think they're adorable. And what I wanted to do to make the colors really pop and sort of clean up the lines on this image is stamp it on black cardstock. So I have a black card base in my Mini Misty. And it's just a 4 1/4 by 11. That's what I always do. And I'm using just some white craft ink to ink up the bench stamp. And just make sure that you get this really covered. It's kind of a large stamp, and so you want to make sure that you really ink it up. Otherwise, you can always stamp it twice in the Misty in white, just to make sure that your embossing powder is really going to adhere to the little fine details in this image. So it looks nice in black and white. I think it looks sort of dramatic, almost like a little nighttime scene. And I had treated this with an embossing buddy before. You know how tricky it can be to emboss on black cardstock. with white embossing powder. So I was pretty careful to try to really prep the cardstock before I did that. I heard Christina Werner say last week or the week before, she was talking about how important workmanship is now, especially with clean and simple cards, and how, sort of, as you evolve as a crafter, that at first you kind of want to hurry up and be done with your card, but later in your crafting career, you really spend more time on the details. And that's one of the things that is just the reward of being a more experienced crafter. And I think that getting those little details right, like making sure you don't have stray embossing powder, is one of those workmanship things that really makes your cards nice. So now I want to play around and see where I want these little pillows. It's actually a little bit crowded on this bench with all three of them, but I'm going to make it work. They do all fit on there. I just have to decide which ones need to be in front of the other ones. And then also, I don't want to obscure the bench itself in kind of an unnatural way. So, like, the pillows wouldn't be sticking out in front of the arms, if you know what I mean. So, I'm trying to prop them up in a way that looks realistic. Now, when you stick any told elements down, you want to stick them down with either a dimensional glue, and there is a glue just for paper tolling. There's actually a great tutorial about that on Split Coast, where our resident expert uses a dimensional glue just beautifully, and it really fills out the images and keeps them from crushing. But I'm just using foam dimensionals. On the long kind of bolster pillow, I needed two. So I'm going to put that one. That one's going to kind of be in the middle. And then I'll put the little round pillow on the edge. And this is the one that I need it to sort of sit behind the armrest of that bench. And so that's why I'm sort of fidgeting with it here, because I just want it to look sort of realistic. So there we go. You stick that down. And then those are really vivid and they pop against the black cardstock, which I love, and they're raised up off of this. I deliberately did this on a one-layer card so that the pillows could kind of be the star. So I hope you enjoyed that. It's a really easy technique. I hope you try it soon. Thanks so much for watching.